So I gave this a bit of a dry run through on Monday at the office, and afterwards Ed, who's kind of the boss, sent me an email, said, very good, but, which is always a dreaded but, it's a bit earnest, and we're not earnest, and you're not earnest. Can't you add in a few jokes? Cheers, Ed. So just to prove we're not earnest, so the last time I was on the stage, not dissimilar to this, in a room with about, I think it was about 250 people in, we were all chanting in unison. This was last Friday. Mark's big dream balls. Now, Mark's actually here tonight, and you'll know him when you see him. And feel free to ask him about his dream balls, because it's actually quite a good story. And a very BCorp story as well, I would say. And as the owners feel. So, I mean, when I think about some of the most important relationships we have in society, it seems many are broken. And the sad fact of it is that business are breaking. So, I mean, if you think about our communities, they're so often characterised by me, not we, by a kind of a random collection of consumers all out for themselves. And there's the families within those communities, so often disjointed or fragmented and spending less and less time together. I think it's as little as 63 minutes a day. And then there's the work we all do, so often lacking meaning and purpose. Long hours, kind of this idea that we're all renting out our time, trying to take out as much as we can, rather than thinking about what we can put back in. And then there's the relationships we have with the planet. And it's the planet where we're slowly or maybe even rapidly choking to death. Now, obviously that began more than 200 years ago with the Industrial Revolution. But actually, today in the 21st century, it's the agricultural industry that's accelerating that process. And our changing diet and the farming practices needed to support it are now the biggest contributor to environmental degradation and resource stress. We've kind of lost touch with where our food comes from, and we've broken that relationship we have with the land. Now, in all of this, I think it's fair to say the ready meal played its part. It was that kind of 1960s invention that took us out of the kitchen and tied us to the sofa in front of the TV. And in many ways, you could almost see the ready meal as a bit of an icon for these broken relationships. But what if a ready meal could actually be part of the solution? What if a ready meal could actually help mend some of these relationships? And what if there was such a thing as a righteous ready meal? And that righteous ready meal was actually made by a company that set out to nourish relationships, not to break them. And that company believed in making good food, not processing on an industrial scale, but cooking in a big kitchen with people rather than machines, and using ingredients that you might recognise from your store cupboard at home, not some chemical concoction dreamt up in a food scientist's lab. I was also happy to champion vegetarian food, because ultimately, we all need to eat a bit less meat, both for our own good and that of the planet. But also set out to make long-term relationships with farmers who are really trying their hardest to keep that delicate balance between nature and agriculture. But as well as making good food, this company also made sure it does good business and makes a decent profit, because ultimately talk is cheap. And there has been no more powerful engine of change than successful business. But also try and inspire this idea that actually business can genuinely benefit everybody, not just a few at the top. And so made sure it paid a decent, proper living wage and shared out a portion of its profits to everybody. But as well as making good food and doing good business, this company was also committed to building and nourishing good relationships with its people through innovative training and development programs that help them realise their dreams. Bit of a clue, dream balls, you might get that. But also with underserved communities, offering them a second chance, offering people who deserve a second chance, an opportunity to go out and fulfil their potential. And trying to inspire this idea that actually by making and sharing good food, we can bring people closer together. And so put shops on high streets up and down the country to act as hubs for their communities. And this Saturday we'll hold the first ever nationwide AGM so customers can come and hold us accountable for what we do. So that business that makes good food, believes in doing good business and building good relationships is called Cook. And we employ now, gosh, more than 700 people. We turn over getting on for £50 million. And we know we're far from perfect, and a lot of this is still definitely aspirational. But I tell you, we're trying damn hard. And I think 2 years ago it was now, almost exactly 2 years ago, a group of us went out to the BCorp retreat in the States, because we decided we actually needed to see what this was all about, to kind of look them in the eye and see if it all stood up to scrutiny. And we went with a healthy dose of skepticism, I think it's fair to say, but had 3 of the most amazing days of our life. We met some incredible businesses, some incredible people. We drank far too much. We got hugged by quite a few touchy-feely Californians, but not quite as many as we thought we would. And we marvelled at the cosmetic perfection of American teeth, because it is something to behold. And we came back, and just before we called the dentist, we decided we'd certify as a B Corp and become one of the very first in the UK. And so 2 years on, standing here today with, I think Bart said, 62 other companies now certified as B Corps and committed to getting this global movement up and running in the UK, it's just an amazing feeling. And I think we genuinely believe that together we can be the change. Thank you. Awesome.